Welcome to From the Driver's Seat, the Averitt podcast for all Averitt drivers to keep up with news and information across our network. Make sure to subscribe on your preferred podcasting app to make sure you're notified as soon as every episode drops. And now, hosting from the driver's seat, Director of Driver Services, David Royals.
Hey everybody, I hope you're doing great. Got a great podcast today. Just a little short introduction, but somebody that a lot of you will know, maybe not everybody, but I want to introduce you. I got Jeff Auberson. How you doing, Jeff?
Fine, sir.
Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk a little bit, and Jeff's going to be stepping in just a little bit and doing a little bit with us on podcast, and we're going to let him get his feet wet on podcast. And so I want to introduce him a little bit today and talk a little bit about who Jeff is. Tell us a little bit about your history at Averitt Express, Jeff.
Well, David, I started off as a driver here almost 20 years ago with Averitt. Been a driver, been a fleet manager, worked my way up, worked for you basically my whole time besides being a driver. And now I'm in the leader of driver services for you.
So you were a fleet manager at one time too, right?
Yes, sir. I was a fleet manager.
So you've had experience with that, experience with the truckload guys, right? And you were a driver at one point in time, right?
Yes, sir. I've driven up and down 81 too many times.
Yeah, you drove. Well, what account did you drive with?
Started with Federal Mogul when we first got that account with Steve Anderson hired me in.
So you drove Federal Mogul, so you drove all your time up the Northeast, right?
Yes, sir.
And then back down, so you had some winter weather that was probably fun up in there and everything?
A lot of snow, and they don't stop up there. They just want you to roll.
Well, good. So you got a lot of experience. You got driver experience. You got fleet manager experience. So you've been in the leadership part of it. And since you've been back with me, you've been in driver services, correct?
Yes, sir, for the past almost 11 years.
That's been a long time. Talked to a lot of drivers and doing all the driver services work, right?
Yeah, we travel a lot, see a lot of people in the field, talk to a lot of people, and it's the best part of my job is getting to see everyone.
Well, it's an easy part of the job as far as the podcast goes because it's talking to people, just what you've been doing for the past 10 years, right?
It is, but with the cameras, it gets a little nervous, but I think I'll be okay.
Oh, you'll be fine. I know you'll do well because you communicate well with the drivers, and that's what the key is. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on this podcast and see how it goes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. You take care. We'll see you on the podcast.
Yes, sir. Hey, everybody. Welcome to From the Driver's Seat. I'm here with Sharon Eldridge and Paul Blackburn, two of our associates. Sharon, tell us a little bit about your background, what brought you to Averitt.
Well, I've been at Averitt for 5.5 years now. Did actually used to work for Bath & Body Works. I was a store manager there, so it's a bit of a different culture for me to flip over. I came over here after we had a loss in the family and I wanted some more home time, more family time at home, weekends off.
Well, good. Averitt's a good family place anyway, and I really enjoy that about myself too, about coming back to Averitt. Paul, what about you? How long have you been with Averitt?
End of January, it'll be 12 years. I drove a truck for other companies, but before that, I put in underground natural gas line for 28 years.
And what brought you to Averitt? Was it the culture that you saw? Was it the uniforms, talking to other drivers?
It was the uniforms, and then the facility they showed had places where like you could do exercise, workout, and it was the atmosphere. Some of the people I talked to, it was real nice, friendly.
So some of the other drivers you spoke to out in the field had told you about the facilities and things?
I talked to one driver, and he really bragged on Averitt, and that was a big plus. But the atmosphere, as far as the people talking, just even over the phone, was real nice. And I told my wife, I said, that's where I'm going to go work if they'll hire me.
Well, we're glad you're here. And so you run out of Greensboro, North Carolina. So how do you like that new facility, the service center, since they built that?
I love it. There's a lot of room. The driver service center is real nice. The people seem to be more relaxed, ready, to help you. And the shop is awesome. I mean, the getting your equipment worked on.
Ricky takes good care of the drivers over there.
Yeah.
Anytime I've ever had a question or concern.
It was a lot different than running out of what we used to call a drop yard. We're like Sharon, like my truck needed maintenance or something, we'd have to schedule it either off, at a service center with a shop. But with it now, she could schedule my service and it can be done on the weekend. Well, I'm taking my time off.
So the drivers, if they're in that area, that's a great place for them to stop and sleep quiet. I know I've been there. It's a big yard, so everybody will like that. So since you've been at Averitt, what's one of the biggest keys about having Sharon as your fleet manager, communication-wise? Does she step in, help you with anything you need, or what?
She's real nice about helping. All you got to do is ask her. And if she can, she will take care of you. That's there's no problem there at all. The communication with her is just awesome. I mean, I love it. I think we had a ordeal this past Monday. She told me to see what I could do, try it, make it early delivery. And I said, well, it would be all right to call the customer. She said, yes, go ahead. So, and we took care of it that way and had our early delivery. And
yeah, it's all about teamwork. It's one of those things. Communication is huge for us, especially if something's trending early, trending late. Pick up numbers that are missing, which has never happened. We want to make sure that any kind of communication at all, that we can have an open conversation. And I've always told Paul and any of my drivers that you may not like what I tell you, but I'll always be honest with you. I'll always
Honesty
be
is the
open
best
with
key.
you.
Yeah.
And anything to do with loads that change, that are on your current load, I'll always give them a call and say, okay, this has changed on the current load. The last thing I want them to have to do is to have to pull over, listen to the message, read the message again, lose time on that. So anything that is changing on their current load, I'll always give them a call. And a lot of times they will then thank me for doing that. It's like, if I could have taken to take a different turn 10 miles from here, and they can keep going or whatever. So
she's real good at communication. I mean, it's just like a load chain, like she just said. I've had her do it to me several times. Call me up on the phone and say, hey, look, did you get that message? I said, well, I heard it, but I didn't read it.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about new associates. A while ago, you said about new associates coming in as a driver. I used to be a driver, so I understand how things change quickly for drivers out there. So I'm going to ask you, as a new associate comes in as a driver and they're wanting to know a pickup number, can you tell us a little bit about the process? So a lot of drivers understand, because they feel like they send a message into you, it's been 10 minutes to you when you're trying to get it, but to a driver it feels like a half hour as they forgot about me.
Yeah,
Can you break that down for us a little bit?
I understand that, because I know when you're sitting in a truck by yourself, 10 minutes is a long time, and I understand that. For us, when we have 30 to 40 drivers a piece at the moment, which is lower than we've had in the past, we have a screen full of messages, and so we may not get to that message for a couple of minutes. So by the time we get to that, and then we have to email the planners to ask if there is one that's actually listed in their notes, then it can take a few minutes just to even get an email out. So by the time we get a pickup number, it could be 15 minutes.
Right.
So there is a process between going from the truck to me, and then from me to the planner, and then the planner back to me, and then usually I will ask, with Paul, I'll say, okay, are you staying in the truck? Can I message it to you? Or if they're staying, I have several that will stay in the office, and they'll say, can you just call me because I'm not in my truck? So I try to make sure that I find that out beforehand so that I can give them a call. Otherwise, sending it to the truck and they're not sitting in the truck doesn't help.
They may be in the service center doing
exactly.
something different.
Yeah.
See, the biggest thing about that 10 minutes you were talking about, a lot of people don't realize 10 minutes on their drive time can mean a lot.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Can make or break your day.
I've run them down, and I know I'm not the only driver to do this, to run it down just minutes left to drive on the 11 hours. 10 minutes mean a lot.
A lot of people don't understand too is if we do have a brokerage load, it's a little bit more time, because that load planner may not have that pickup number that you're needing, and they'll email they'll turn around and email the broker.
That's a very good point. Yeah,
that could be a 30, 45-minute session or whatever, but that's when we need to ask the drivers, hey, as Sharon probably does with you, Paul, is, hey, I know I'm going to get back to you as quick as I can. If you haven't heard from me in about 20, 30 minutes, to send me a message so I can ask the load planner, keep them involved, because they're like they do have a lot more drivers than just one out there. So,
and there are some and the imaging on the loads as well, that maybe when they book the load, they maybe have sent for 30 different numbers, and they think, okay, these are the 3 that are going to be the important ones, and then you get hey, I need a 212 number. It's like of all the numbers they didn't list, that was the one that was what they needed. So then we can look at those, and sometimes it takes 2 seconds to go, oh, here it is right here, and I'll send it to him, and then other times it's like a process, but like you said,
the process, and just making sure everybody stay in communication with each other. So as a fleet manager and driver, what do you think is one of the most important things about communication?
It makes your money. I mean, you've got to communicate. If you can't communicate, you're not going to get nothing done.
Right. Just like you said earlier about an open window, she asked you to see if you could deliver early.
Yeah.
If a driver gets up and you're off your break, then you can send a message to your fleet manager, hey, I got an open window from 8 to 12. It's 7:30. I've already done my pre-trip. I can do my pre-trip, then I can get on the road. Can I deliver early? Do you have something left for me to do afterward? So communicating with that. But I think being straightforward with the driver is the most important thing. I know when I had my fleet managers, they were great. They were straightforward to me. They'd sit there and tell me, hey, Jeff, you're getting messed over on this load. I know that, you know that, but I promise you, once you take care of this for me, when you need something, I'm going to pay you back.
And we try not to have it to be
Yes.
issues like that. And that's one of the things that I wanted to have with Paul, was that I didn't want him to have to drop the load and lose miles on it.
Right.
So I'd rather him try, deliver early, than drop it somewhere and have somebody else deliver it, if we could go in there and attempt it, if he had the hours on his clock. So, and one thing I've always said to my drivers, and I've said to other people in the office, Paul is in his truck by himself all day long.
Right.
Some people are married, some are not. So if I'm the only person that they talk to in a day, I don't want it to be a bad experience, or I'd rather them vent to me and be like, oh, this traffic's terrible. Atlanta's this, and right now North Carolina is not a great place to drive. And
the gorge is shut down. Drivers have to take more time,
So,
and anything coming out of the Carolinas is going to have to go south through Atlanta area, and that's going to cause more time for the driver and more
so I'd
heartache.
much rather them vent to me than take it out and road rage on the road or a customer. So I've always had a great experience with Paul. He's always called and let me know if he's going to be early or late, or can I do this, or hey, I'm going to break here. What do you got planned for me? Or, so we've always talked back and forth.
Well, Sharon's good about if you've got a load assignment, let's say you get it on Monday and it don't deliver it on Wednesday. Well, you could be there Tuesday at noon. Well, Sharon will look at that, and she's done it several times for me. Well, I'm not going to let you sit that long. So that's communication with your driver and your fleet manager. She'll look for something else, or have somebody look for something else for you, and have a place for you to drop that load. So
But also the driver needs to help the fleet manager with that.
Yeah,
Say, hey,
I do that also.
Yes.
Sometimes like I said, she's got several drivers. She can't see them all at one
Right.
time. And I'll say, and I'll let her know, Sharon, look, I'm going to be at this such address at such time. Can we get this relayed?
And this is where it's important as well. And I know we talked this morning in the office, having your 10-hour break and rolling and ETAs are really important. And I know sometimes
Yes.
drivers think, why is she asking me what my ETA is? I've got all day to deliver it. Well, if I know that I can ask them, instead of delivering Wednesday, can we pull it forward to Tuesday? What's your ETA? When can you get it there? And I'll try and tell my drivers, don't
She's
tell me
done
what you
that to
can't
me.
do. Tell me what you can do. So
Right.
I can't make 6 o'clock the appointment time, but I can do this, or I
and
can
that's
be there
learning your
early.
driver. Over time, you build that relationship. As a driver, your fleet manager doesn't know how you like to run.
Right.
Until you've been with them a while. And then some drivers are like, well, why you ask me if I can deliver that early? Well, there's an extra 14 hours built into this. So I need to see if you're going to deliver it early so I can get with the load planner and try to get you another load. And that's where a lot of the drivers out there or associates don't understand that they can ask their fleet manager, hey, can we move this up? Or can I go ahead and take this load to here and drop it if we can't move it up so I can get some miles?
And that's a good point as well with the load planners. They allocate loads based on you having a 10-hour break. So if you have a 10-hour break and you go to that delivery, they allow a couple of hours for delivery and then to roll again. So if you decide, well, I've got all day, I'm going to take 13, 14, 15-hour break, then that may now put you out of the next load that you were modeling on to be able to go and get more miles for that day. So you tend to take yourself out of the equation to make more money just by having an extra little nap. So having a 10-hour break or asking what's next or can I deliver this early can really impact your paycheck at the end of the week.
Yeah, and that's where the communication comes in. It looks like you all get along very well.
Oh, we always have.
Paul's all right. He's
Well, I'll not say this, but I'm going to say it. I trained her.
yeah, he claims he trains me. Although I've got a couple that tell me the same thing. Mac out of GBO, he also.
Sharon is an excellent fleet manager. I've had two good fleet managers, and she was one. But communication, and she does that real good.
But to help sum this up, what would you tell new associates coming on board about their fleet manager communication? Just, hey, always ask the question. If you've got a question, ask them. Don't think they say is, no, we can't do that. Just be straightforward with them. When you can deliver early, what would you say to them about communication with their fleet manager?
Well, as a trainer, when I trained, I would tell them, look, you don't know who your fleet manager is. They don't know who you are. You need to get communication with them, find out. They're going to try to find out what you could do and what you can't do. I said, so the best thing you could do is communicate and stay on top of things. And once your fleet manager sees that, hey, look, I got a good driver here. I mean, we could work together here, and you're going to get miles, and you're going to get a good paycheck. It's as simple.
And communication doesn't have to just be verbal.
No.
And there are some drivers that I have that prefer messaging me.
Right.
I don't want to bother you. And they're not bothering me, but I don't want to bother you. But it's important for them to be able to communicate with me. So if some don't want to talk, that's okay. That's fine. But we have to check little things, and you'll get to know as your fleet manager, as a new one, what you need, what you should be calling about. And simple things like, okay, the address is different on the BOL
Well, I've had that,
to
yeah.
what the tablet is. And there's something that
Yes.
may seem really trivial, like, oh, it's still in North Carolina, it's not too far. That could be a really big deal that
Right.
we've picked up the wrong freight. And so something really small, communication that takes 5 seconds, like, hey, is this the right address, can really stop from
Right.
causing a bigger problem.
That's
And
right.
We had
it's not
that
as
thing,
easy.
man. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did, yeah. We've had some concerns that we've
Addresses,
addressed as we needed to. But little things like that can make a big difference. And as you go along, you get to know who wants to have a conversation. And if I have time, I'm more than happy to have a longer conversation. But there are some that if you're in the driver's seat all day long and not talking to anybody, there's
Or
nothing
on the
wrong
driver's
with
seat.
yeah, and not if it's okay to have a little fun at the same time.
Yes.
He'll call up and give me a hard time, and we'll have a joke, and we'll move on from it. We'll get business taken care of. But there's nothing wrong with having fun at the same time.
Communication is having a good time together, pick and cut up. I mean, but do it in a proper manner.
Yes.
And that makes both parties feel good. I mean, really. Me, Sharon knows I like to pick and cut up.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, but I couldn't do his job.
Well, I like to make
couldn't
people
sit
laugh.
there.
I like to make people laugh and smile.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
but-
the way I communicate too, Paul, because I like to enjoy people's company and talk to them and make them laugh. That makes me feel better and it makes my day easier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's simple. I mean, you're going to have bad days. Drivers going to have bad days. Fleet managers going to have bad days. Best I could tell somebody when you're having a bad day, and I have them too, is call somebody that you could talk to and trust and go over just any little simple thing. I mean, it don't really matter. Bad days happen.
One of the best things I can tell any associate, new associate, old associate, is don't let little things bottle up inside you as a driver, because you could be mad from being cut off, or the shipper, custody, or whatever. Is talk to someone, fleet manager, like you said, somebody that you can talk to just to release that, and it makes your day easier and your
as
job
a
a
fleet
whole lot
manager,
easier.
I
to do.
appreciate that too. And if there's concerns, if you have concerns with your fleet manager, if you feel like you're not getting
Yes.
what you need, talk to them about it. Be like, okay, well, is there something going on? Is there something I can do differently? Is there, what is there the
This is
breakdown
what I
of
used to tell
communication?
this is what I used to tell all the drivers whenever I was a fleet manager.
Give us a chance to fix
is,
it if there's an
I'm
issue.
not your boss. On paper, I am, but I'm not.
Right.
You've got a job to do with Averitt. I've got a job to do with
That's
Averitt.
right.
We're going to
It's a
work
team
very
effort.
close together. So whatever you've got that you think is going to make this job easier, tell me. And if it is, we'll do it that way. If not, then we'll do it the other way. But we'll come to a consistency together and make sure we both are on the same page.
100%.
Same page is very important.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, because I know Paul, he would rather a phone call. There are others that would just prefer you just message and not to bother them, and that's okay. So there's definitely different personalities in the trucks, and I couldn't do his job because I couldn't not talk to somebody all day long, and I would probably not have the best. I'd probably have a little road rage out there the way things are going.
Well, I'm more old school. I don't text and all that, and I do call Sharon a lot. She'll tell you that. And some guys, they say, "Man, you are not doing yours. You got that quail."
She likes that though.
Yeah, and but I don't text and drive, or I don't do any kind of texting on these tablets now or whatever we used to use. It's the same to me as texting, and I just ain't too cool with it.
Well, I will say this to all associates: your fleet managers are here to help you, not to hinder you.
That's right.
We've all got jobs to do, but I promise you, if you call in and talk to them, they're going to do everything they can to help you. And is there anything else y'all want to add?
Well, I wanted to say that it's not just the fleet managers as well, that it's a team with the planners as well. That
Yes.
I know sometimes the drivers will be like, what's that? That planner got something against me? Why are you sending me to Georgia again? And they don't see a person. They see a trucker that's available with hours available, and they don't take it as you can't take it as a personal thing. It is a team effort. So when we get the loads, we take care of it as best we can. If we can't take care of it, then we work something out. So it's not us against the planners and the planners against the drivers, or fleet managers against drivers. We're all a team and we're all in it together. So that's how it gets done. So
like you said,
That's the key word, family.
When I first come here, that's what they said. We're a family, and that's the way I look at it. We're a family.
and we can't. I can't do it without the planners, and I can't do it without Paul, and Paul can't always do it without me, even though he'd probably like to. So
That's right.
But we all do it together. And at the end of the day, I have a job to do. He has a job to do, and taking care of the customers is making sure that that we're all profitable in the long run and that we have a good time doing it.
Well, your communication is not just with your fleet manager here, or it's with the customer also. That's very important. Whether Averitt gets another load from there or gets to deliver another load. It's like I've told some drivers, they've asked me about where they've had trouble with a customer. I said, just be nice, call your fleet manager.
Let them handle it.
And she will handle it.
Yeah, I'd much rather you be professional with the customer, call me and say, oh my gosh, and then vent to me, and that's okay, let me take care of it.
I don't know if I've done it with you, but I know I have called them before about an outrage customer. And whether they took care of it or not, I mean, it was out of my hand. I know what I'm supposed to do.
It's best to diffuse it as much as possible, be professional, stick with the facts, and then let them know that you'll talk to your leader or your fleet manager, and then we'll take care of it from there. And if we need to get involved in something else, then we will. But it's best to not escalate anything, especially when, and we can't expect the drivers to say, oh, go tell them this, because they're face-to-face with them, and it's not as easy as we think it might be. Because like I said, it's easier over the phone to say, hey, go and tell them, go and tell them this. And they're like, oh, I've got to go into that guy face-to-face and tell him what you said. So
I'm not going to do that.
Communication is definitely both ways. So
So building a good relationship with your fleet manager is the key for any associate coming on.
Very much
and
so.
To wrap it up, I want to say thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed my first podcast.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for joining us from the driver's seat, and you all have a great day.